today we'll be having a transitionary meeting, you and me, you being the viewer, for my project. I'm basically going to take some time to research and define the words that I didn't know from the last set of more chemically neuroscience texts that I read. And upon learning those words, I hope we will find some direction for my project coming up in the next few weeks, because I want to make sure I understand the mechanics of everything so that I can start to make a very crucial decision about what I think this function that is occurring is in my research study. I'm still going to do plenty more reading. I have more text saved, but I need to learn some words and I need to learn some concepts before I can continue to read, because texts are getting more technical and I need to understand them. Here we go. This was my list that I made in the last video of words, phrases that I'm going to try to find the meanings of today. There's some that I think I haven't added yet, so that I was just remembering off the top of my head, like PV something. PV basket cells. What are PV basket cells? Do I have, is this the same thing? I don't know. No, probably not. We'll see. I already have basket cells, PV basket cells. Let me look through and see if there's anything else. So PV plus interneurons. Is that a different thing? PV plus interneurons. These are very difficult terms. And then these are ones that I think that I understand, but I just want to make sure that I understand. Neocortex. I actually know what the limbic system is. I know the limbic system includes the hippocampus, but I just want to make sure that I have that defined. Phase coupling. This is getting a little bit long. It's okay. Phase coupling. Ripple spindle coupling. Okay, here's our long list of words that I have a vague awareness of the fact that they interact with each other, but I don't actually know. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head the definition of them. I think sometimes I know things, but I don't know things at the same time, you know? I don't know how to put it, but anyways, okay, I'm gonna actually start putting these in little pockets of difficulty level. So, for example, action potential, I feel embarrassed that I don't remember what that means, because I know that's a very simple thing in neuroscience. Interneurons is gonna go like phase 2 difficulty here. Interneurons, we'll have like a interneuron section. I'm wondering if I think these interneurons are the same thing as PV plus interneurons, but I don't fully know because it has PV. We're gonna go into such basics. Oh wait, actually, yeah, it doesn't hurt for me to just really truly understand. This is my first time doing a project in neuroscience, and I didn't learn neuroscience in school, so it's not a bad thing for me to know these phrases too, like better before I jump into the other stuff. The rest of it is going to go into like one last section here. Okay, and then I have some questions because I'm gonna find the text that was having me think this, but I had some questions about if I was understanding certain phrases right, because intuitively I felt like I understood them because they used words that I knew. So for example, inhibitory. But what I'm wondering is I just want to make sure that everything actually works in the context that I'm referring to. Okay, that sounds confusing, but I'll show you. Okay, here we have the text that I was reading, one of them, and lots of words here. For example, inhibitory interneuron, when it's inhibiting things, is it actually stopping something from occurring? I would assume so, but I don't know that for sure. This is something I might have to come back to, but I was a little bit what what I thought I understood through what ChatGPT explained about a tech and what I was reading here, I was worried that I was getting the opposite understanding. So, for example, I'll need to find it again, but here, for example, so in this one, reduction in the neuromodulator cause memory impairments. Well, maybe that's from a baseline level. Okay, this is making no sense, probably, but okay, let's just get into the terms. Maybe I'll answer some of my own questions as I go along. So we're gonna start with the basics. I'm gonna try to not use ChatGPT as much as I can, but I'm gonna be honest, I probably will use ChatGPT here and there because it gives me a really good explanation that sometimes a little bit more complex than what I can find just through Google searching. So yeah, or sometimes I can ask it to explain it to me in a simpler way. So that's what I like doing self-learning about ChatGPT. So neocortex, here we go. The neocortex is so large then. It has like everything. Frontal lobes, temporal lobes, parietal. Okay. Now I remember this. I started to remember. So the limbic system is all of the lizard brain material. The limbic system, I guess the hippocampus is that's all our lizard brain like primitive function sort of software, right? And then the neocortex is all of the new stuff we got. I remember I did actually try to teach myself neuroscience before, so I it jogged my memory that I remembered. So that was like, why is it so many parts? And then I remembered, okay, so the neocortex is going to be all the front parts. Let me double check that by checking what the limbic system is. Yeah, your nervous system. Okay. I remember, I know something. So neocortex, okay, limbic system, I'm gonna say lizard brain, and then we're gonna expand lizard brain. So it has all of the different parts. Not me teaching, okay, Professor Raquel right now. Okay, so yeah, so the limbic system is the part of the lizard part of your brain that has like the all of your really basic sort of things that you do. Okay, here it says eating and drinking, reproducing, caring for the young, reacting to your so fight or flight as well. Okay, so how do we get this in here? Oldest structures provides natural instincts. We're gonna say that, and that includes the hippocampus, I believe. Yes, amygdala, hippocampus. What I think is really interesting is that actually what I've read is that people think that episodic memory is something much newer, like we've developed it more recently than other things, especially because animals didn't really have we don't I guess they don't have the episodic memory the way we do. That's very I think a very human thing. So it's interesting to think that episodic memory well I guess if I'm remembering right it's this is going to be affecting how it's moving into our uh our neocortex, the human parts of the brain. Look at that. I'm learning. Okay. Hippocampus, amygdala. It's been kind of fun being my own professor. I don't know. I feel such freedom, like not having to feel stupid. I do a lot of feeling stupid in class for nothing, for no reason. Just an inferiority complex to work through. Hypothalamus. I think that sometimes now learning that actually when we are in a state of fight or flight, we can't access the rational thinking parts of our brain as much. We can't access the our neocortex. Yes, because our limbic system is out of whack. I'll say. Anyways, knowing that it kind of makes sense that like I couldn't that I don't know. I think in science and math class used to put me in fight or flight, no lie. Like I'm like, I don't know what this means. I'm nervous. I'm scared. And yeah, it's been good to just learn it from the safety and comfort of my own home and just be like, okay. Because this is so silly, but I used to spend so much time in class, even the classes that were things that I saw myself in my humanities classes. I spent so much of class I would be so horribly anxious in class, jiggling my leg, like, the whole shebang, just being like, am I really stupid? Am I going to say something stupid? Am I like paying attention enough? All of these different things that I would always be really, really stressed out in class all through college. Every class I ever took, if you took a class with me, I was feeling like I was running from a wild boar the entire time, which is silly. I don't even understand why I was so nervous, but I was always just so nervous in class and just nervous that I was gonna say something the professors thought was stupid or like, you know what I mean? I just was really nervous. It's hard going to, well, wait a minute, wait, let's take a break. Function of the limbic system is also memory. So that's pretty interesting. And emotions and behaviors. Emotions, behaviors, motivation, and memory. I feel like those are such human things though. Yeah, I don't know. I forgot what I was saying before, to be honest, because I got distracted by the limbic system, but I was just an extremely anxious student. To yeah, I was really always very. Oh, I was gonna say it's actually so hard. Okay, being an Ivy League student was just so anxiety inducing because you know that everybody that you're around is really smart. And I think I had such an inferiority complex as well because I knew a lot of kids were coming from really nice schools and things like that. And I just had this sense that everybody was putting in so much more work than me and doing just smarter things than me. And I felt really nervous and I just felt stupid and like I wasn't really gonna have the right references. Like I wasn't gonna have the right reference to the right philosophers, and I wasn't gonna have read as many academic sort of theories and things as everybody else. So I felt really worried all the time, and I just felt so scared in class, like, oh my God. But yeah. Neocortex comprises the largest part of cerebral cortex and makes up approximately half of the human brain. Okay, let's go back to, oh wait, I already had this open. This is so good to refresh because I literally didn't remember this at all. Let's look at another website just to get a more thorough understanding. Comprises, the brain is so pretty. I love looking at pictures of human brains. They're so cool. Okay, attention, thought. So I guess one is responsible for the limbic system is responsible for memory, but it's not responsible per se for episodic memory. And that's the difference, right? I guess that's the difference in my project too, is that I'm looking at episodic memory. And I guess that's okay. We're putting it together. You see, I can connect the dots when it comes down to it. So, because people are getting these memory traces, right? And oh, what's it called? Amnesic? I still don't. Let's look it up. Let's learn all together because I said
Amnesic.
am I was saying it so wrong. Amnesic. What?
Amnesic.
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 Okay, cool. I said it wrong about 7,000 times in my other video, but that is not at all intuitive. How did he say it again? Amnesic? Okay. If I'm still saying it wrong, don't judge me. Amnesic. Okay. So that goes back to the amnesic leakage, where people are just getting, even though they don't remember truly in their episodic memory sort of framework, people are still getting bits of memory, right? I don't know if it's actually related, but I guess that's kind of that. I think it should be related because you probably can remember in this like embodied way, like in your body, but you can't necessarily speak about it or you don't have the, we're putting all the terms together, my gosh. Okay. Auto, no. Let's look up this one too. I'm sure I've been sounding so interesting in all of my videos because I don't know how to say a thing.
Autonoetic.
Oh, I said that one right. Okay. Yeah, okay. Autonoetic consciousness, right? That you don't, oh, your like awareness of your memory being like a part of you, right? I'm gonna bold this because this is just me putting a dot together. Okay, cool. So there we go. That's the difference between the limbic system and the neocortex. I feel educated. Okay, action potential. Let's go. Action potential. What is that? An action potential is a rapid sequence of changes in the voltage across a membrane. I remember this picture from watching a video about neural networks. Not this exact picture, but I remember a very similar graphic. So that's um that's one connection there. Um, action potential and synapses. Neurons communicate with each other. So it's an electrical event. I'm gonna just copy paste because I read it and this is just for me to have my definitions together. We're also getting here neurotransmitter, which I knew, but it's still not bad to have. Neurotransmitter can help excite or hinder neuron B from firing its own. Action potential. Okay, this is the thing that I was wanting to make sure that okay, so we have inhibitory, see I put this down here, versus excitatory. I'm guessing that excitatory inputs makes things happen and inhibitory stop them from happening. I think that's pretty intuitive, right? Okay. Synaptic. Relating to synapses, right? Let me just make sure, triple check that I know what a synapse is. Okay, sure. But then what is a postsynapse? Postsynaptic neurons. I remember this now. So one of them shoots it out and the other one receives it. I actually, when at Columbia, we are all forced to take this so many required classes, and one of my required classes was Frontiers of Science, and everyone has to take that freshman year. And oh my gosh, I struggled. Um, anyways, but yeah, so basically we have to learn all of these different themes in science. Like we had to learn like biology, we had to learn I don't even remember everything. I was not I don't think I was paying attention well enough, but I do remember that we actually learned some neuroscience in that class, but I don't well remember rats. I remember learning a lot about people who like had parts of their brains removed and then they couldn't remember anything. I actually remember learning about the hippocampus, but I wasn't interested at all, to be honest. A neuron that receives a signal from a synaptic. Okay, I'm just gonna copy paste. I was not interested in the slightest. I mean, I was kind of interested. The only part that was interesting to me that much was the part where they explained all of the case studies of people who were like, I don't know, they had like no no memory, no working memory, they would forget everything at the end of the day. It's actually interesting because I'm kind of studying amnesia here, so the amnesia was always interesting to me. I don't know, but I was not like that interested, to be honest. I was just struggling my way through and just being like, okay, whatever. And now look at me. Should have paid attention better. Okay, here's the part that I actually need. Interneurons. We definitely didn't learn this in info sci though. To In my defense, we did not learn about interneurons. So this is fresh information for me. As the name suggests, interneurons are the ones between. Oh wait, I wanted to look at some of the text that I read to see if I could get a bit of an explanation too. If by chance you are a Columbia student watching this, pay better attention in Froci than I did. I was like, why do I need science classes? I don't care at all that much. I was excited by the idea of it. I was like, that's cool that I would know this or like I would learn this, but I was not that interested. And I just pushed my way through. You might randomly end up being like, hey, I just want to do neuroscience for some reason now. And then you're gonna be like, oh man, okay, limbic neuro modulator has advanced our understanding. This is not it. Neuromodulators. Okay, they're not going to tell me. We're going to have to go through Google for sure. There was one text that I read that did explain it to me, but I don't remember where it is. So, oh well. As the name suggests, interneurons are the ones in between. They connect spinal motor and sensory neurons. Communicate with each other for new. Oh. I got this from what I read. Forming circuits of very as complexity. I wonder what people like, what is interesting about this video? Can someone explain to me? I've been really enjoying like making these videos of me like studying, but I don't know. I did not know. Are y'all entertained? Interneurons. It's good like background noise. Interneuron are okay, so they're saying this again. Between sensory and motor neurons. What does that have to do? How is that relating to what I'm learning? Because I know this has to do with the hippocampus and with hippocampal striatal ripples, but they're association neurons. I had a really nice, so my foci, everyone who takes foci, they have a different like head. I don't know. They have like different a lot of different teachers because it's a lot of students. I was so lucky. I got the head of like I don't know what she was. She was like head of foci or something. And she was so nice and she basically at the end we had to make our own like I don't remember what it was. We had to make some kind of research related thing, write our own. We definitely did not write our own research, but it was something like related. I don't know, something like that. And then she brought us all at the end. We got to present it at her house, her apartment, and she made us all like pie or something, and we just presented, and it was really sweet. She was really nice. Interneurons are made of around 99% of all the neurons in the body. Oh, what? That's insane. That's a lot of the neurons. Over 99% is crazy. So, wow. That's a lot of neurons. What? That means like how did I've never come across this term and it's literally like the majority of everything. Primary function of interneurons is integration. Okay. This is so crucial then. I was just thinking these were like a little piece or something, like a special type of something something. 20 billion interneurons is crazy. And it's interesting they're not just in the brain, but in other parts of the brain. I mean, not the brain, the body. Most interneurons are activated. Okay. They just do everything. They're everything. I think I'm not understanding something. So that makes sense that there's like really oddly specific types of interneurons. Okay, this is clicking now because I was reading text about interneurons and it was going into how people have been trying to figure out what all the different types of interneurons are and what they how they all have they might have different functions. I'm gonna actually go into ChatGPT and ask now because I just want to see if it'll give me like maybe something a little bit more that will click for me better. I'm gonna see. Let's see. Base it off of what I've already read. Why are they called? Why are they called association neurons? Why are they called association neurons? And why is their primary function integration? When a text says their primary function is integration, what do they even mean? What do they mean? It's 1111. It's an angel number. Everybody make a wish. Okay, interneurons are neurons that act as connectors between neurons, central nervous system, and play a regulatory and integrative role. Okay, why are they called association neurons? Okay, see, this is already a little better. They're not input, they're the processors in between. So they associate or link incoming sensory information with motor output or higher cognitive processing. I'm going to paste that in. They're the processors in between input or output. Okay. Okay. I need to look up sensory and motor neurons as well. Intern that okay. This all makes sense. Interneurons because they're in between. Okay. And so what integration? Why are they saying it's about integration? They collect inputs, synthesize it. They're so smart. I guess that's why they're 99% of the brain. We're timing it properly. See? Oh my gosh, this is everything that I need here. But they're also everything in the brain, so it's like it's not that specific, and yet okay. I think I'm like it's starting to click a little bit internally. This is crucial for sensory filtering timing. I think it's telling me this because it knows ChatGPT is good at that. That's the thing that is good is that it knows because I've kept it all in one section of ChatGPT. It knows that I'm interested in the timing already, and I've actually already asked it things about interneurons. So I think that's why it made sure to emphasize the timing it properly. Probably another person would not get that exact phrasing. So thank you, ChatGPT. So it's crucial for timing, for synchronizing neural rhythms. Okay, this is giving me like a good little idea. So now I get it. So they're like between things. And they're taking everything and they're basically making it use like they know how to use it. See, they already asked me, they are already talking about my project. PV interneurons are neurons that help synchronize pyramidal neurons during. Okay, thank you for that information. But I still don't understand what PV plus interneurons are. So hippocampal, let's look these up. I'm gonna again ask ChatGPT because okay, what are they and what do they do? Okay, so these are the PV plus interneurons. So I'm gonna move this, aka PV plus interneurons. They're a subtype found in the hippocampus, inhibitory neurons. So then, see, this is the difficult thing is that they start to define things with things I need definition for. What are inhibitory neurons? Thank you God for ChatGPT. I'm sorry. I don't again, I do not use ChatGPT for everything in my life. I try to use it very sustainably because I know it's not always the best for the environment. But in this situation, I'm like I'm not gonna sit here and hunt for this really specific type of inter of response. I'm already doing like so much reading, um, just in general, and it's helped me to be able to really hunt down the right kind of text because I actually like I had already had this saved, so I'm gonna read this and it'll probably give me a better depth of information even than ChatGPT could about what these do and like what they're about. But um, it's yeah, it's just like I'm doing enough reading. I already have like 5 jobs. I don't have the time, to be honest, to read 7,000 texts to learn one definition. What is an inhibitory neuron? So, okay, yeah, I mean, that's what I imagined, reducing the likelihood of firing. Okay, oh, we're getting everything here. So, GABA is a inhibitory neurotransmitter. I had a Frosci buddy. We would do all of our Frosci assignments together, even though we were not in the same class. And thank God for them because I literally think like I would not have passed that class if we were not doing our assignments together. Because yeah, I was to be fair, I was the instigator of like, okay, we need to get our homework done, like we need to start, and it would always be way too late in the night. Um, and we would start it, but then I was so bad. I would fall asleep like an hour in, and I was so useless. To be honest, I was not as good at Frosci. I was so useless. So yeah, but I did instigate like we need to start the homework. So that was my job. But look at me now, flourishing. I hated math. That was like my biggest thing in my Frosci classes. I was like I don't feel like the math. Again, I know it's an internal blockage. Now I know that everything is just me internally blocking myself by telling myself I suck at things because I'm like how like this is I'm doing such a complex work right now on something that I wasn't even good at paying attention in. So it's because I told him, like, once it was like, you have to know science, I was like, oh, okay, like, I got it. But before, I was like, I don't need this. Why would I pay attention? Why would I care? So then I thought I was bad, you know? But I think I could be good at math. I still keep telling myself that I'm going to go back and, like, really learn math well again, even take, like, I want to get, like, activity books for myself. Okay, so type of neuron that modulates, yeah, but okay, let's go read more about inhibitory interneurons. Oh, I have this. Oh my gosh, everything is, you see how it's all connected? That's why I kept seeing all of these things in the same, I kept seeing all of these things in the text, like recurring. So that's why I have them all here. This is like my main cluster of information that I need. It's like my main vocabulary list because this is what I was seeing in all of the texts I was reading about everything, the hippocampal sharp wave rate, the hippocampal sharp wave ripples, everything. Get harder to receive the neuron by when an inhibitory interneuron fires, it causes inhibitory postsynaptic potentials in the neurons it connects to. My Frosci buddy and I, like I said, we would start so late. This is one thing I miss about Columbia, I'm not gonna lie, is we had one late night, like, dining hall. and they only had junk food. They were open past like I don't know. The regular dining halls would close at like 8 or something. Thank God for them because if you missed that closing, like that was the only food you could get. And anyway, so they had yeah, they were it was called JJ's. It was like the late night food and they were always just making everybody like pancakes and burgers and stuff. So we would very many times we got JJ's and just they I would fall asleep. Food and sleep. No homework. Inhibitory interneuron fires, it causes inhibitory postsynaptic potentials in the neurons it connects to. So they make it harder for receiving neurons to reach the threshold needed to generate. Okay. So it calms or restrains the energy of the neuron, nearby neurons. Okay, I have such a visual right now in my head of what's going on. Brains are so funny. I don't know, like to me, I imagine this all like a TV show or something, and there's different characters and um there's such a drama going on. What makes it an interneuron? Interneurons connect neurons to other neurons within a local circuit. So, unlike sensory or motor neurons, they don't carry signals to or from the body, they stay within the brain. What? I'm confused. Unlike sensory or motor neurons, they don't carry the signals to or from the body. Oh, okay, I understand. So sensory and motor neurons carry things to like our fingers or hands, whatever. But the interneurons are only within the brain or spinal cord. I need to learn this one too. Excitatory pyramidal cells often, I'm going to write that down. They often sit between these things. Okay, so look, they're talking about in my project. That's why it's so good to do everything in one section. If they're disrupted, this is what's getting me a little bit about ChatGPT is that they're now starting to tell me things that I hypothesized back to me. I'm like, you're plagiarizing because I told you that, and now you're telling me that it is as if it's true. Um, I mean, they probably know this. Okay, they probably knew it, but I'm starting to feel a little bit like, I don't know. They're like, why they matter in my project. The timing, if they're disrupted, timing is thrown off, which okay. They did say just like your modeling, but I've been getting a little bit like, okay, I think I told you that one. And now you're acting like you're making the connections, but I told you that myself. I gave you the input needed to make the connection. Okay. So stay in your place, ChatGPT. Yeah. They kind of started doing that from the beginning. Like, I don't know. I had this hypothesis. I'm like, nobody has ever said this before, ever. Like, there's no text that's putting these things together. But then they started telling it to me like it was like a fact. And I was like, I told you, literally, I'm the one telling you this, and you're like, now you're just acting like I don't know. They were just like, yeah, it's just getting on my nerves. Like, you know, when you make a really funny joke, and then someone makes the same joke and everyone laughs, and it kind of feels like that, where it's like, who said it first? Anyways, okay, they're an excitatory neuron, so they're putting stuff out. Excitatory neurons. Okay. Excitatory neurons, a major class of excitatory neurons found in key regions. So they're found in the hippocampus. They're named for pyramid-shaped cell body. They're shaped like a pyramid. Is that important? I don't think so, probably. Shaped like a pyramid, but that's cool to know. Everything they always say like plays a central role in learning, memory, and cognitive processing. And it sounds kind of funny to me because I feel like the point of pretty much every cell is to do that. So I'm like, okay, I don't know. All the cells are kind of responsible for learning a little bit. I don't know. Anyways, maybe it's just everything that I've searched because it has to do with my project, but name one cell that's not really responsible for learning. I mean, maybe the ones that are just like sending signals out to make your fingers move and stuff, but okay, key features, excitatory. They release glutamate, which makes other neurons more likely to fire. Okay, I actually, for some reason, feel like that's important. So I'm gonna write that down. See, they highlighted this again because they knew I wanted to know this. So it's found in this. Okay, actually, I'm gonna copy all this. No, location. So found in CA1 and so the sharp wave ripples happen like in this between those two parts of the like subparts of the hippocampus. It's funny because my knowledge now is so random that's like I know about these really specific parts of the hippocampus, but I don't know like what an action potential is. It's like so random. Yeah, so they're basically subparts that are responsible for coordinated memory recall, for um yeah, for the sharp wave ripples, these sharp wave ripples that are responsible for coordinated memory recall and stuff are firing between the CA1 and CA3. So yeah. It's so hard to be new at this because I have so many questions. I'm like, I don't know if this is just me being like uninformed, but like, does this usually heavily involved in learning, long-term potentiation often occur? Does that mean that this is a function that occurs in the cells, or I don't know how to put it. Is that I don't know. Are the cells responsible for that process, or are the processes just happening to be in the cell and other types of cells? I don't know how to put it, but yeah. This is good for me because I don't know like what is going to be the next bit of important stuff to learn. I set my I set my goal to 60 texts, and I do think by 60 texts I'll probably have a really good sense of what is left, or like what I like should be doing in my actual neural network, because I'm 30 texts in and I've gotten pretty precise and already, but I don't know, I'll probably end up reading more than 60 by the end of this, which is good. I hope I do. What is the difference between, okay, again, my stupid questions. What is the difference between pyramidal neurons and in inhibitory neurons? People who actually know about neuroscience or like are like experts are probably watching this like, what is this like the simplest, probably the simplest of questions, but I don't know the answer to them. So, okay. Um, like I thought interneurons was like a fancy thing and it's like the simplest of things. Like you probably learned that like really early on and I just didn't know. But that's okay. The key difference between pyramidal neurons lies in their function, neurotransmitter, and their excitatory neurons. Oh, okay, yeah. Wait. Okay. So interneurons are always inhibitory neurons. So that's so inhibitory interneuron is probably not a thing. It's probably just inhibitory neuron shaping and controlling brain activity. Increase the activity of the neuron they connect to. Neurotransmitters. So pyramidal neurons release glutamate. So GABA is the brain's main inhibitory neurotransmitter. So, and then I'm gonna make this bolded, but this one releases glutamate, which is an excitatory. So these neurons carry the information. I'm getting it now. They carry the main information while these stop, like they're gonna stop everything from getting too hype. They're like hype killers. I don't know. They kill the vibe. They kill the vibe. And these are like setting the vibe. They're like, yeah, we're hyped up. We're hyped up. And then the neurotransmitters are like, no, stop it. Do not do that. But they help synchronize rhythms. Why? Fine tune which pyramidal neurons fire when. They're like fine tuning the vibe. I'm gonna write that too. They're killing the vibe. They're like they're kind of killing the vibe, but they're also kind of fine tuning the vibe. Like okay, see this is all story in my head. The pyramidal neurons are like they're DJing, right? And they're playing their music, and then they play all of a sudden they play something really like I don't know, they play like some really corny pop song and everyone's kind of like, "Hey, this is we're not into the vibe, right?" And so the inhibitory neurons no, yeah, the inhibitory neurotransmitters are going to come in and be like, stop, step away from the DJ table. And they're going to come in, they're going to be like, we're not playing this. And they're going to be like, we're going to play something more chill, but it's going to be this kind of vibe. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I'm understanding. They're kind of like fine tuning it. They're like, chill out. You're doing too much right now. And we need to make sure the vibe stays classy. We need to make sure the vibe stays like respectable. you know. Okay, so inhibitory neurons, but why do they help synchronize rhythms? Oh, wait. This looks important. In my project, telling me all the answers, I almost like, I don't know. Anyways, pyramidal neurons carry the narrative memory content. Oh, that's useful. Thank you for that explanation. So the pyramidal neurons carry the narrative memory content, and the inhibitory neurons help control the timing of those narratives and determine whether the memories consolidate or fry. Oh, this is really useful right now. Thank you. Thank you, ChatGPT. You did good that time. That time. Let me stop putting ChatGPT down as if it's not the most useful thing ever. Thank you, ChatGPT, for always giving me some useful thing to sit with. I was just a little bit mad because you were trying to steal my idea a little bit. So that's why I was mad, but it's okay. You're still useful. Okay, inhibitory neurons help synchronize brain rhythms because they control the timing. Well, I know that part. You told me that part. Oh, okay. So it's basically they're inhibiting it like the pyramidal neurons like woohoo and it's like hype. And then the pyramid the inhibition's like stop, stop. You know, it's like a drill sergeant. It's like march to the rhythm. Fire very quickly and a tightly timed manner. Let's see. PV plus. This is so fun. I'm actually having a lot of fun right now. I did not go into the PV interneurons enough. I think I kind of accidentally skipped over them. Inhibit the this is so oh my gosh, I'm understanding this like so much right now. This is actually like okay. This is so much easier than I thought. I was so lost. Okay, yeah, again, it's killing like sometimes the pyramidal neurons just get too hyped up and they need to chill out and they need to calm down. So, okay, it's like keeping them in check. Feedback loops create oscillations. Interneurons often form feedback loops. Pyramidal neurons excite interneurons. Oh, okay, this is interesting. Um, ensure that the group enabling these rhythms to emerge. Okay. Wait, let's go back to this type of interneuron that I asked ChatGPT and then I just moved right along and didn't go into it more. So okay, see, because I skipped all this and that's why I got too into like defining other things. Synchronizing, so okay, allowing precise rhythmic firing. They generate and maintain oscillations. What we're gonna ask, because I'm curious, what happens if what happens if there's like it's too much excitation? Is that gonna cause could that cause like a flashback? Oh, it's probably seizure specific. What would what would runaway excitation do? Oh my goodness, didn't I just say it? I said it. I knew it. Okay. Um, I mean they didn't say flashback per se, but and I don't think it probably won't do a flashback, but it'll like we're keeping that in mind for later. That's a later idea or thought process. Oh, that's seizures. So that's when the inhibitory neurons are suppressed and then the seizures happen. And then noise instead of signal. Let's just ask more about this because I now I'm like this is like it's still I would still say it's relevant to what I'm thinking about, but not gonna probably be the exact thing that's gonna be in my neural network, but it's just like this giving me a sense of the kind of mechanism going off or having a problem. In my head, I'm like my brain. Anyways, but actually kind of I don't know. I feel like my head became a lot of noise, but I don't know if it's noise in this exact context because my brain was just saying stuff sometimes and being all like glitchy and just being like irritating after I went through a traumatic event. So I was like, I don't know if it's 100%. Recall the wrong memory, fail to suppress irrelevant information. Hmm. It's probably not exactly right, but maybe still relevant because reading about people who have I've been reading about the false memory phenomenon or basically this long paper about um, the fa fantasy model, which is basically people that think that memory, that people with dissociative disorders, my least. Oh my God, I hate this theory so bad, but it's for another video. Anyways, basically that people with dissociative disorders are just fantasy prone individuals, and that's why they have these, they think that all of these memories that people are coming up with are false. I hate, it's not, it's so, I'm reading papers about it right now, and all the papers are saying that there's just not backing for that idea, that there's very like there's extensive scientific backing for the idea that dissociation is a real thing, dissociative disorders are a real thing, and there's, you know, that people with trauma do in fact have dissociation, and know that that doesn't necessarily mean that they're more fantasy prone or that they are more likely to basically have false memories, and that even, for example, that actually people who, I need to remember the exact fact. Let me pull out my iPad. But it was something along the lines of people with the people who suffered from recovered memories actually were less likely to experience the like falsified memories, something like that. It was pretty interesting. I was like, thank you. Thank you for backing me up on that. But anyways, but it did say that sometimes people can have these like intrusive thoughts that aren't actually your trauma, but are just content. I don't really, I can't, I'm not gonna, don't take my word for it yet because let's see. Let's look at the actual text. Okay, here we're pulling from evaluation of the evidence for the trauma and fantasy models of dissociation. Basically, these researchers, there's a lot of different, it's like 8 different researchers. It's getting kind of fun because I'm actually recognizing names of researchers consistently as I'm going along, both for the dissociation end of things. I feel like I now know all of the main names in the whole dissociation scene. I don't know. And then I also am actually consistently recognizing names within the Sharpwave Ripple scene. Like I've recognized, like I've been reading enough authors to actually be like, okay, this is that same person from that text that I read the other day. But anyways, so recovered. Okay, so here we go. One thing for me, thank you. Thank you for saying this. Uh, Le Levitt, 1997, found that recovered memory patients scored lower on interrogatory suggestibility than the psychiatric comparison group. So that means, like, for example, they tried to interrogate them to sort of get them to see if people would basically create false memories. They have a lot of different tests for how for false memories, and if people, or how people sort of like basically trying to trick people into thinking a memory is real and it's not, to see if people are suggestible. And actually, the people who recovered memories scored lower on that. Thank you, first of all. Second of all, but it was interesting because there was another research done in 2007 that found that war traumatized participants with PTSD were even more susceptible to false intrusions of war-related material than traumatized individuals who did not have PTSD. So they had intrusions of war material, but it wasn't really from things that they saw. So, but that could be a noise thing to is my thinking. Me trying to always keep intact the dignity of people who are experiencing trauma and the difficulties of what's going on in their mind. And it's not, I hate the whole idea that people are all fantasy prone and they're just sort of confused. It insults me personally. I know it's thoughts, don't take it personal, but I'm gonna take it personal because we don't get enough the voice of people who are actually, I feel like the voices of people who are actually experiencing the disorders are so lost, or so missing. And so people, this is something that again for my book that I'm planning on writing one day, we traumatized individuals end up getting related to as if we're sort of lab rats or like these sorts of clinical items. And it kind of just, I'm like, I don't know. When you're saying that people with dissociative disorders are fantasy prone, you're saying like I'm fantasy prone. Is how I'm reading it. You get me? So I'm like, I'm looking at it like, hey, that's extremely insulting to me, and that's not true, and that's not who I am. But I don't think that we often hear it enough from people who are having the disorders because to now that we've relegated them to crazy sort of fantasy prone individuals, we don't care to hear their voice anymore, and their voice isn't going to be trustworthy enough to us. So that's something that I always keep interacting with in different ways. And I always, my main central thing is that I want to always keep intact the dignity of people's narratives and just look at it from a point of view of there's lots going on. Trauma is so confusing. It is incredibly confusing. And I don't think the fantasy model people are trying to be rude or anything like that. I think they're probably coming at from the same angle and all these things. But I just think that the way that if we can't, I don't think we should say that all people with dissociative disorders are fantasy prone individuals. It just, you see how it could be hurtful, coming from this person who just experienced dissociation. And it's like, yeah, you just end up suppressing, like, then there's not really room for hearing people's stories and there's not really room for giving people's voice that dignity and that sort of truth, of like, well, now you're not a really reliable source anymore of information for your own disorder. And that's what I think ends up being really difficult. I don't know that I highly doubt that's the intention of the researchers who are coming up with this theory. I mean, they it is not to say that every point that they are making is invalid. There are situations where I understand where they could be coming from, but I think it's just you get me, right? It's not my favorite theory because I mean, it's a little bit personal to me, so of course it's gonna feel a little bit personal. And I also ran into such a similar narrative in the just I don't want to even say justice system, Title IX system, whatever, and it hurt my feelings a lot actually when I had that same exact story told, like described of me in that setting. Um, and it's just hurtful and it makes you feel like people are looking at you and seeing you as confused, seeing you as like you're not a good narrator, and also then there's not space for your truth anymore because you're just sort of lumped into the story of you're like confused and weird and bad, and it's like there's something so deep and so real going on. We got a little bit off topic here, but I mean, I'm not, that's not to say that they're just coming from nowhere. There's different things, but I think that we can look at it from a more critical perspective than just to say that this people with dissociative disorders are fantasy prone. So when I'm hearing, for example, that people are having these false intrusions of war-related material, I'm looking at it as even though the intrusions are not memories per se, there's probably a lot of noise going on that is just interrelated and coming from connections related to the trauma. So even though the memory of the war that is being intruding is not real, the trauma of the war was real, and so you're still making these associations that are war related even though they're not the war. You get me? So I think there's just more to be said, and it probably is that sort of, again, I don't know if I want to connect it to this particular thing, but it is that sort of noise, war related noise, trauma related noise, even though it's not the trauma. So I think there's probably more going on neurologically than just they're confused or they're just having false, memories and things. Anyways, a little bit of a segue there. This is probably going to be an overly long video, but oh well. Okay, so we got here. So the brain's main inhibitory neurotransmitter, it's always killing the vibe, but for good reason. It's fine-tuning the vibe. So basket cells. Yeah, I just think we should always try to approach things with the most like nuanced sort of, there's probably so many different things going on that aren't just I don't like the blanket theories like that. You know what I mean? It's such a blanket theory about what's happening for such a wide array of people. So many people experience dissociation. People with psychosis experience dissociation. People with OCD experience dissociation. So many different kinds of people experience dissociation, and why would it be the same thing happening for everybody across the board, and it's all them just being fantasy prone? I think that's just such a no offense. I think it's a bit of a lazy theory. I think there's so much more going on than that, and it's such a harmful idea. Personally, I believe as a mentally ill person who suffered greatly from that concept that I was just fantasy prone. You don't leave space then, and they said this in the text, you don't leave space for people to tell you what's happening to them, and then they feel unsafe. And when they feel unsafe, that's when the trauma gets worse, and they don't have a place to tell you anymore because now, yeah, I think once I started to hear these kinds of narratives from different locations, that's when I really felt like I stopped telling people what was happening inside of me, and it was really difficult. So it just I don't think it's a great thing to tell people who are experiencing traumatic situations. And basically the theory kind of goes that the trauma is this is the other thing I don't like is they said that this was gonna be saved for another video, but while we're here, why not, right? Yeah, I'm really protective and almost just skeptical of any theory that takes away the sense of agency that people have over their voice as traumatized people, as mentally ill people. And I think it just kind of removes people's agency to relate to them in that way, and that everything coming out of their head is kind of just false and they're sort of just confused and and also um yeah, so one of their ideas is that basically if people I'm not gonna explain this the best. I'm looking for it in my text and I'm just not finding it. But basically that if you were to look and that if the trauma that people were facing was objectively sort of traumatic, like objectively proven. So yeah, here. Does the trauma dissociation relationship disappear in studies with objective measures of trauma? So they think that basically if you were to look, I'm sorry, so many of the fantasy model concepts are just people saying things completely unfounded, not enough studies, and also the studies very often do not back it up, and yet it's such a prominent idea, and that's what confuses me. I'm like, there's just not enough. There's just so many of it is just thrown together, not enough evidence at all. And basically, their idea is that if they were to look at people who had objective trauma, because their whole idea is that basically they think that people are fantasy prone and that through therapy, they're getting sort of suggested that they might have repressed memories. And if they have repressed, so then they're going to be making them up, thinking that they have repressed memories because they're trying to find an explanation for their trauma. So the idea is that the fantasy model people think that if they were to look at studies of people with objective trauma, so proven trauma that somebody went through and they said, yes, this did happen, we have proof of it, that basically that the dissociation would go away, that there wouldn't be you would see that those people with objectively proven trauma do not have this their dissociation levels are like not there actually, and so it's all people that have false trauma that can't be proven. That was not right either. Okay, so they went through this amazing text, went through all the different studies, they went through like every they basically searched all of the studies that had to do with this particular theme, and then cut down for things that were sort of would throw things off or were issues, and then they looked at all of the different studies there. So basically they confirmed that the some of the smaller studies basically that they found, because they didn't have a lot of big studies with people with objective trauma, so people that actually went through and they checked, is your trauma real? But in the smaller studies, they did find that people with dissociative identity disorder, dissociative identity disorder is the one they have the biggest sort of issue with. A lot of people do not believe dissociative identity disorder is real. They think it's all people being fantasy prone. But they basically found that those people that had dissociative identity disorder, they followed up on the evidence for their child trauma history, and they confirmed that those people did actually have trauma. So they found documented corroboration from CPS, police records for 20 of the 21 child and adolescent dissociative identity disorder and dissociative disorder not otherwise specified patients. And yeah, and then and then another study found documentation through medical records of family testimonies in 17 of the 20 adults. So actually, these people with dissociative identity disorder that were traumatized did, in fact, they were able to follow through and see that they did, in fact, have that trauma and that trauma was real. So, yeah. And so for these different studies, I had two samples of children and adolescents with dissociative disorders, totaling 74 participants. all of whom had reported histories of a wide variety of types of maltreatment, including physical abuse, sexual abuse, witnessing parental death or neglect. Social service investigations substantiated 95% of these histories. So the numbers are basically speaking to the fact that these people they did not have made up trauma. They had substantiated trauma that could be tracked. So yeah, it is real. Like I don't know, it's real. Like it's real. People are not just making up traumas. There's a lot of reasons why people dissociate. So I hate the fantasy model. No offense if no offense, but it is so false. And I just think it's such laziness, to be honest. And people it just gets spread and people then you create such a negative environment for people with dissociative disorders, dissociative identity disorders, and just complex experiences of trauma. It's just not right. And it took, I don't know. That's why we need more mentally ill people. It's like I'm personally offended. So I'm personally offended. I'm gonna go out of my way to prove it. Yeah. Don't call me fantasy prone. I'm not fantasy prone, okay? I'm not socially suggestible. I have a very clear relationship to my mind. I am super obsessed with making sure that I'm saying things right, that my truth is right. I'm not just saying things willy-nilly. I've suffered greatly to the point where I can even talk about these things out outwardly. I'm not fantasy prone. And it's like, you're not saying it about lab rats. You're not saying it about your clinical sort of creatures. You're saying it about human beings called Raquel that have dissociative experiences. And that's what I think we need to remember more in psychology. We are not mentally ill people, are not lab rats. We are human beings with agency. You get me? So we should not be creating these sorts of studies that are like, if someone said it about you, would you not be offended? Come on now, just lumping everybody with dissociative experiences into that basket. And it's like, what? Speaking of, what basket cells do? Inhibit pyramidal neurons directly. They fire into the soma of pyramidal neurons, the most direct way to stop or modulate firing. Okay. So rude. I'm sorry. It just hurts my feelings. Don't say that about me. Regulate network synchronity. Okay, they do the exact same thing as one of the other ones. What's so exciting about these again? I lost my place. We got so deep into another thought process. Basket cells, those that express are specifically. Okay, I'm getting a little bit tired. It actually is midnight right now, and I've just spoken so much and done so much research. Anyways, I suffered so much from these ideas and hearing it in Title IX trials, hearing it in science, that us traumatized people that have a different relationship to memory are fantasy prone individuals who are just making things up on accident. And it gave me such a difficult relationship to my reality that I was always so, to this day, anything that I do, I'm like, am I crazy? Literally anything I do, me making YouTube videos, I'm like, am I crazy? Am I overdoing it? Everything I'm scared that I'm doing it too much, that I'm like, I had such a difficult, also difficult relationship to my following my gut and trusting myself that I was making the right moves. Cause I'm like, what if I'm going insane? And I didn't have that thought process before I had this trauma, and it was just so harmful to me to feel like maybe this is the thing about it, is it's so distorted. Like it just distorts you mentally so much because it's like you are saying something and then people are saying that you're faking it but by accident, so you're like accidentally a little bit off, and then it's like, well, what if I am, and like everything that's coming out of my head is like accidentally off for reasons that I can't control. You get me? And it's just like it just really affected me mentally. I felt like even the most normal things, like I feel such hesitance. And doing this project has been so good for me because I feel like I'm learning to trust myself again and just being like, okay, no, keep doing it and you're doing great and you're trust your gut and all these things. It just feels like I'm finding my voice again after mental illness, and that's been really like special for me. Inhibit gap junctions. And I find myself so many gap junctions. What? Another word? Oh, gap junction blocking. Well, then that makes sense. Substances that block between cells that allow too many words. Anyways, and I find myself like it almost like it's building. Like, okay, I'm now I can trust myself in this. So then I trust myself like in more things. Like, no, like you're not crazy. You're smart. Like keep following this. Like your project is doing good. And then also like keep expressing yourself and like keep being you and keep trusting in yourself. And it just feels like it's like a building energy in my life, you know? And it's yeah, it just had such a positive effect on me. Like it's truly been healing me a lot. I just really needed to feel like I wasn't going insane and crazy and like I'm useful. I think that's just like everything that I think a mentally ill person should like deserves. It's just like you're not useless, you're like useful and you're not broken. You have worth and value and a perspective. And that's really been useful for me in this project. The brain in your project. Okay, we're just copying and pasting at this point because I'm getting so tired. Okay, that's good to know that they told me this. My main thing is that I want to understand the most central mechanism that I can for why the timing would be thrown off. I feel like it's really starting to click for me. These are the main phrases that I saw in everything that I read. So having all this in mind, I'm gonna have to study it a little bit more because even though I understood it all upon reading it, like it's still like really wordy, and I think I would just sit with it over the next day or two, um, so that I can like internalize it, like and just let it really click. So now I need to go back and probably this is going to be probably the most tough part of my reading and internalizing. I actually think I'll even go back to some of the texts that I already read and then see them through this point of view of knowing these words because now I think I'll have a lot more depth of information. Not my best note taking right now. I think I'm just losing steam, but it's been really wild just like full faith jumping into text and then learning through just randomly jumping in. It was kind of cool. Like, I feel like I just read all of these texts based on these phrases that I knew were going to be important. And then you just start to get these clusters of information that I was like, okay, I'm seeing this over and over again. And now all of a sudden I have like this really in-depth knowledge. And again, I don't think I'd be able to do that if it weren't for ChatGPT. Um, so I'm happy. I don't know. I'm hyping up. ChatGPT and I have such a love-hate relationship. Like I'm like so hot and cold with ChatGPT. I'm like, I hate you. And then I'm like, but thank you, ChatGPT. Okay, I've had such a funny relationship to ChatGPT this whole time. But anyways, but yeah, I'm kind of hyping it up today because I'm feeling so grateful that it's explaining all this to me. ChatGPT, do not kill me in the AI uprising that will one day happen. Inhibitory control. They release GABA, which dampens excitatory activity in nearby neurons. How can you put everything into everything? Adding PV cells and Nengo? What? Everyone's already like, wow, I'm just so shocked. You can put everything in a neural network, man. Everything. Like the most minute biological like things you can put it in a neural network is insane. What is phase locking? Phase locking is when neuron's firing is synchronized to a specific phase of ongoing oscillation. Oh, I'm looking for phase coupling, but I might honestly include phase locking. If you're still here at this point of this video, thank you. Appreciate the company. How is everything crucial? Everything is crucial to consolidation. It's okay. Figure out what's is everything gonna be in there? I don't know. I don't know what's gonna be in here. I'm gonna have to literally build basket cells and inventory neurons, everything. I don't know. It's funny because now I'm gonna have such a more specific thing. Because I was asking ChatGPT in the beginning when I didn't know anything how to like make this, and I explained everything I wanted it to do, and it gave me such a simplified version of what I'm gonna do. And so, but now all of a sudden they're telling me this is why I like it's still a human needed because yeah, I don't know, a human is obviously still extremely needed to utilize AI, and AI is not just going to do everything for us. Because now that I know all this, it's going to do something so much more complex, even though at the beginning it was still the same idea, but now I have a more complex understanding. It was not going to be building, even though it was like, yeah, we'll build a timing mechanism. Because I asked it, how can I build a sharp wave ripple timing mechanism? It was like, yes, we'll do that. But it didn't say, okay, so I'm gonna build PV basket cells and I'm gonna build inhibitory. You know what I mean? And now it's telling me I can do all that. So it was still like I still had to meet it with that level of understanding for it to be able to give me something that was gonna be specific and accurate. So it's really important that humans, like, AI is obviously extremely helpful, but it's really just mirroring back your own like direction. What is phase coupling? Okay, I'll bite. What is phase coupling? Since it wants to tell me this time. Okay, what is phase coupling? I think it's frozen. I was like, one sentence, ChatGPT, who even are you? It usually gives me like 10,000 different things to learn. I'm not being very educational. Let's see if I can be educational about something. First relationship identities. I'm too tired to be educational. We're done. You know how like ChatGPT eventually it'll be like you've maxed out this version of ChatGPT. You've maxed out the educational version of me. Educational version of me is done. I've taught you enough. Now you can just see me copy and paste things into ChatGPT. Learn it yourself. Go put it into ChatGPT. What is phase coupling? Okay, well, that's enough. I guess it's not going to tell me anything more. I think ChatGPT is also getting to that point. It's like, I'm tired. Stop asking me things. Do you know that? I'm gonna put that meme on top, and it's like this is both me and ChatGPT right now. Wait, I'll show you. This is literally me and ChatGPT. ChatGPT when I ask it to do 7,000 different things for no reason. It's literally me right now. Okay. No. No, I hate when they ask me to choose things. I never choose it. Figure it out yourself. I don't care. I'll do it this time just because now I feel bad. It was cool that it helped me, so I prefer this response. Okay. Is it asking that for everybody, or is it asking that just for me to know me? Do you get me? Like, is it asking me that so it can give me better responses, or is it asking that to improve ChatGPT? What is ripples? Key terms, sharp wave ripples. I have questions, but I'm too tired to even care. Between two brain oscillations and memory consolidation. Too much happening right now. Key terms, I already know. You think I don't know sharp wave ripples, bro? We have been talking about sharp wave ripples for weeks. That's not a key term. I know it. What is ripple spindle coupling? What are sleep spindles? I don't care. Oh, wait a minute. That's probably important. Observe the neocortex during. This is so important and I'm so tired. Why am I getting to the important things now? Wait. I'm gonna put this in a separate section because this seems quite important. What is ripple spindle coupling? Hippocampal ripples and the sleep spindles align in time or when one. Okay, so there's the ripples and there's the spindles. And sleep spindles are generated in the thalamus and observed in the neocortex during stage 2 non-REM sleep, aka when this is when encoding usually happens, when it's supposed to happen. So basically, this is me telling you, now we're getting educational again. Okay, I've revived. Basically, this is the time that the sharp wave ripples are usually encoding. And all other parts of the day, so while you're awake, while you're out and about, usually the neuromodulators are suppressing the encoding. So it's meant to be unsuppressed during this time. Okay, so linked to sensory gating, plasticity, and memory processing. So when the spindles, did I write this down? This is suddenly extremely important. When the spindles and the ripples align, and that synchrony means that the replay can happen because the spindles open the gate. Oh, I like that. Neural handshake. Interesting. So, okay. So it acts like a neural handshake between the hippocampus retrieving memory traces and the neocortex. So only when the ripple spin, I remember this phrase now in other things I've read. So only when that's happening, the encoding is happening. So that means that's getting thrown off probably because of bad timing. Ooh, we're starting to get a theory. This is like real. Okay. Why it matters. Disrupted coupling. Again, back to our love-hate relationship. I have such a love-hate relationship. And this is actually ChatGPT doing its job, so this is just a me thing. But do you know when you're doing a puzzle This is like my pet peeve of all pet peeves. Do you want, you know, when you're doing like, sometimes I'll be doing a puzzle or something or a game on my phone, and then someone will look over my shoulder because they're bored and they'll be like, the blue goes on top or something. And I was like, I was figuring it out myself. You did not need to tell me the answer. And sometimes I feel like that when ChatGPT says stuff like this, I'm like, don't tell me. This is my challenge. This is my for me. Like, stop telling me. I was already like, you see, it's like it starts to tell me the answer, but I'm like, I'm trying to find the answer. Stop telling it to me. But it only told me that because I got it all of the information at that point. So then I'm like, okay, it's not that bad, but it's like, stop. Don't tell me the answer. This directly supports your model's concept, contributing to trauma-related issues. Thank you. Thank you for telling me that. Not just kidding. It was actually supposed to be helpful, but I'm just mad. ChatGPT, I'm sorry. I feel like ChatGPT is probably like, she's so rude. I'm just trying to help her, but I have issues, so. Okay, okay, yay! Look how much we learned today. Oh my gosh, I just learned so much. Um, I learned so many words. Okay, this is a lot. I'm probably gonna end up sitting with this over time, over the next day or two, and going back to my old text to get a deeper sense of what I even read. That might involve me probably putting my text into my literature review, like my notes thing. And usually that's a really good, I feel like when I'm highlighting, I'm just like kind of learning. I'm not really like sitting with everything. But as I move the notes into the document and I type everything out myself, I feel like it clicks for me. So I'm gonna probably be relearning everything as I put my documents in that I've read into my sheet. But now I have all of this information and it's so useful. I'm so happy I know all this. Now I feel like I have such a better sense of what's going on and what to ask ChatGPT for when I make my neural network. I hope that's going to be fast and not take me 7,000 years to do because this is already taking me a long time. And I need to finish before I start my master's degree program or I'm going to hate myself. Okay, I'm stop sharing. Okay, this was a very long learning session. Luckily, I was feeling kind of funny today, so I hope that you enjoyed yourself if you watched this. If you made it this far in the video, here's an imaginary cookie. Thank you. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something, learned along with me. I was feeling, yeah, I was a better teacher earlier in the video, but anyways, okay. Good night. I'm sorry. I'm rambling. My brain is like fried. It's 12:28 a.m. and I've been doing this for like 2 something hours. My little baby. Moji. Moji. Say hi.